good morning to you today, Tim.
Good morning, Shannon. It's indeed a beautiful day, and it's also my father-in-law's birthday, so we're happy to be here on Discovery.
And we're happy that you're on Discovery also, Tim.
Houston, Discovery for ACO.
Discovery Houston, go ahead, CJ.
Crew of STS-128 on the Space Shuttle Discovery salutes the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines serving all over the world, and we have a special greeting here today from Colonel Tim Coper, United States Army.
And we understand that Robert Carrolls has completed his last day on Orbit 3 for ACO, and will be deploying with the Army with the 72nd Brigade Combat Team, Charlie Troop, 1st Squadron, 112th Cavalry Regiment. And we wanted to wish him the absolute best, and we know that he's going to do a great job, and we're very proud of him for serving his country.
And Discovery, CJ and Tim, thank you very much for those outstanding and kind words.
Discovery Houston on the big loop. You are go for undocking. Copy, Houston. Go for undocking.
Houston AM station from Discovery. Physical separation.
Copy.
Undocking confirmed. Discovery weighs anchor from the International Space Station on the first leg of its journey home to planet Earth. This view of the International Space Station from Discovery through the S-band communication system, the sequential still video that refreshes itself every few seconds, showing the view from a centerline camera in the orbiter docking system with Discovery 246 feet in front of the orbital outpost. And just poking its nose from behind one of the radiators on the International Space Station is the Shuttle Discovery. Almost at a point 655 feet behind the International Space Station. In the upper left-hand corner of your screen is the Soyuz vehicle, one of the Soyuz spacecraft docked to the Russian segment of the International Space Station, and a good view of Discovery as Kevin Ford continues his radial fly-around of the complex. On the right side of your screen, the Zvezda service module, docked to the aft of Zvezda, the Progress 34 cargo craft. Nestled back into the rear of the cargo bay of Discovery, the Leonardo multipurpose logistics module that was filled with 2.5 tons of items no longer needed on the International Space Station after delivering almost 9 tons of science racks, assembly hardware, and other supplies for the Expedition 20 crew. Discovery now passing directly behind the International Space Station, about to begin a transit to a point 630 feet directly below the station. The propulsion officer here in Mission Control reports that Kevin Ford is right on his marks in terms of propellant usage. Discovery and the International Space Station approaching the west coast of South America, soon to cross directly over La Paz, Bolivia. Altitude 223 statute miles, Discovery 644 feet away from the station.
Discovery Houston on air to ground 2, FYI, the station's maneuvering to the TEA attitude.
Okay, we copy Houston. Thanks, we'll let Kevin know.
With a palette of puffy clouds providing a backdrop, Shuttle Discovery 652 feet below the International Space Station as the two craft approach the west coast of South America. You can see a good view here of the orbiter boom sensor system, the 50-foot-long boom extension mated to the shuttle's robotic arm. That will come into play a few hours from now, when Kevin Ford, Pat Forrester, and Jose Hernandez work the procedures for the so-called late inspection of the reinforced carbon-carbon on the leading edges of Discovery's wings and its nose cap. This late inspection providing one final set of imagery through the laser systems and the cameras on the end of the orbiter boom sensor system for the imagery experts to provide to the mission management team for final clearance of Discovery's heat protection shield for entry and landing back at the Kennedy Space Center on Thursday evening. Great view of Discovery from cameras on the International Space Station as the two craft fly 223 miles over the Amazon jungle.
Houston Station on the Big Loop. Those were great views of that magnificent spaceship that just flew under us. We were all glued to the windows.
And Mike, we've been watching great views.
Nearing an orbital sunset over the Atlantic Ocean, Discovery about to disappear behind the large Japanese segment of the International Space Station, the Kibo Science Lab. .6 minutes away from the first separation burn, the first of two to be conducted by Kevin Ford. The rendezvous officer here in Mission Control reports that Kevin Ford has executed a textbook fly around of the International Space Station. Absolutely no issues associated with the loss of the vernier jets and the revised procedures that Ford has been executing since the undocking 1 hour 9 minutes ago.
Discovery on the Big Loop. In about 10 more degrees, we're going to go to 8 Bravo, and Kevin's going to give you the SEP-1 burn.
Discovery, Houston copies, and we concur.
Station Houston on Space to Ground 2.
Go ahead on 2.
Yeah, Mike, for you and the rest of the crew up there, the Orbit 1 team is about to complete its handover, and with that, the 17A ISS team officially ends its support. It's been a privilege to have worked with you and the shuttle crew this last week and a half, and we very much wish you well as your increment continues.
You guys guys so much for the great support, and obviously this was all about coordination and teamwork, and the fact that we pulled this off so flawlessly, I think, is a testament to you guys' support. So thank you so much. It's always been a pleasure to work with you, and we look forward to hopefully working together again someday.
Absolutely.
Station Discovery on the big loop.
Discovery Station, go ahead on the big loop.
From the crew of STS-128 on the 17A assembly mission, we'd like to extend our thanks to the Expedition 20 crew for all their great support and assistance during the docked mission. Thanks especially to Gennady, Mike, Nicole, Roman, Bob, and Frank for all your great work.
Well, CJ, thanks so much to you and the whole STS-128 crew, and thanks to Heather Rarick and all the ground team that successfully brought the good ship Discovery to us. We're pretty fat with supplies now, thanks to you, and we're in better shape to carry on the work that we're up here to do. You guys have a safe trip home, Discovery, and it was great hosting you.
Thanks a lot, Mike. In about 10 minutes, Kevin's going to do the SEP-2 burn, and we'll be out of here.
All right, you guys. Godspeed you on your way home.
Thank you very much, Commander, for the great and warm words in our address. And have a safe trip and have a safe landing today.
Thank you, Commander. Very good to work with you, Gennady.
We're looking forward to seeing you on Earth.
Roger.
At the aft flight deck of Discovery, things are beginning to gear up for the next several hours of late inspection, which always occurs after a shuttle undocking. One final opportunity to scan with the orbiter boom sensor system laser packages the reinforced carbon-carbon on the leading edge of the shuttle's wings and its nose cap. We'll be starting off with a survey of the starboard wing. That will be controlled on the alternating handoff between Kevin Ford, Pat Forrester, and Jose Hernandez, who will take turns operating the robotic arm that is grappled to the 50-foot-long boom extension, the OBSS, as it is called. Taking one more portrait of the heat shield of Discovery for analysis on the ground and for reports back to the mission management team tomorrow. This is a duplicate, essentially, of what occurred on the day after Discovery's launch, when the boom was used to scan the wings and the nose cap. Basically, one more opportunity for data collection to ensure that Discovery's heat shield has not incurred any damage during the time that the orbiter was docked to the International Space Station. Once this survey is complete, the orbiter boom sensor system will be berthed back onto the starboard sill of the cargo bay of Discovery, its job having been completed for this mission.
Okay, Houston Discovery, welcome to our Flight Day 12 highlights. Here's Tim Koper, our new STS-128 crew member, and he's showing off his Russian shaving kit. This is a really neat kit. It's got a lot of good gear in it, and we were very impressed. On the middeck this morning, we had a specialty of our crew is these breakfast burritos made by Daniel Levis and Jose Hernandez, and they've got a real system down there. You can see they use onboard shuttle foods in a special way. We do fly some tortillas for this purpose. They've also got salsa, cheese, and sausage and eggs. You can see it's a little tricky in zero-G, floating all the ingredients into the tortilla, but it's a lot of, oh, that is a smiley face. I see that one now. Danny made a smiley face. Anyway, then we put the eggs on there and eat them. It's, if you're not careful, the eggs will float all over the middeck, so a little precision is required.
You can see us carefully placing the eggs inside the burrito. In the morning, Danny and I took the crew's order and and then we started preparing them accordingly. We had a guest chef on board, and that was Tim Corpa, who helped us out assembling the burritos, as you can see. Danny is an expert in zero-G burrito making. And Tim Corpa decided to taste the very first one, and he gave us his honest opinion, and obviously it looks like he enjoyed it.
And it's time for undocking. We are prepared. The system is set up, and it's basically only to countdown to the undocking moment, which has been calculated exactly to the second when it should happen. Excitement is building up, and here push, and hook lights went off. The screw starts to turn and undo the hooks, and about 2 minutes later we are off the station. And we're also taking measurements. You can see here on the right side of Jose is using a laser to record both the distance and the speed which we are drifting away from the station window, flying away. Kevin, our pilot, is flying the Discovery while you go away.
All right, well, an interesting thing is that all those simulations we did over the course of the last year at the Johnson Space Center have prepared us well for today. And one thing different, though, is I had a lot more company for the actual fly around on the flight deck today than I had during all the simulations. Everybody wanted to be up there and see the space station, and it is very distracting. It's tempting to be just enjoying the view. It's just spectacular as we fly away from it and move out to the range of 650 feet to do the fly around. A lot of coordination going on, a lot of measurements being taken, and the digital autopilot flies the attitude for us, and we just try to match the rates with it as we fly around the space station and keep up with it. Many hours of practice at home with our instructors really paid off today. We were really happy with the way the fly around went, and nice safe separation, and hopefully we got some good images to send home to everybody to see what this International Space Station is all about. It's just really spectacular.
Kevin mentioned he had a lot of company up on the flight deck today, but believe it or not, most everyone up there has a purpose. We do photo documentation of the station, most of it required, and those photos will be taken back and analyzed. Crystal was working the APDS system, and that's why he pushed the button for undocking. CJ and I had the procedures up front, just making sure everyone stayed on the timeline. We did have some inputs to make into the computer system. Here's some of the first views coming that we would have as we backed away. We ended up going back about 650 feet before we began the complete fly around of the station and the separation. It's just pictures don't capture what it's like when you look out the window. We do our best, but it's one of those things that you almost have to see to believe.
As you fly around the International Space Station, you can see here the profile that Kevin Ford flew. It's almost a completely perfect fly around, as you see represented in the computer system. But as you fly away from space station, you really marvel at the fact that we have this engineering wonder hovering above the surface of the Earth 200 miles, and it just is really unbelievable. Once we got far enough away from the space station, we began to get ready for our inspection, late inspection. Basically, we pull out the robotic arm and the boom system with the sensor package on the end, and to do a final inspection, make sure that the ship is ready to come to the atmosphere and come home.
So there was a lot of hard work today and some very spectacular views. All of us were very excited to see us fly away from the space station and see, as Danny put it, just a technological marvel, and represents the cooperation of many countries and groups to make that happen. We ended the day with a little bit of levity and fun, playing with some water and just demonstrating what you can do in zero gravity. Here you see Daniel Levis squirting out some water from a drink bag, and we're putting a lifesaver in the center. We're going to make a space eyeball. This one turned out pretty well, and you know, it's one of the skills that all astronauts have, being able to play with water and play with food. Going in for the kill. We thank everybody for their great support on this mission, and on behalf of the STS-128 crew.
Good morning, Discovery, and a special good morning to you today, Krister.
Houston, that was a wonderful, beautiful music this flight day morning, 13, and very appropriate. We feel we are flying and staying home and to be near our friends and family.
Good day from the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room. This is Mission Control Houston. This is the eve of Discovery's scheduled homecoming to the Kennedy Space Center. A landing tomorrow would wrap up a 13-day, 5.3 million-mile mission in which Commander Rick Sturckow, pilot Kevin Ford, and mission specialists Pat Forrester, Jose Hernandez, Danny Olivas, Christopher Fugelsang, and Tim Copra assisted the Expedition 20 crew, now with their new crew member Nicole Stott on board the station, in delivering tons of supplies and science equipment to the International Space Station, and conducted the removal and replacement of a critical ammonia tank assembly, or cooling reservoir, if you will, for the Port 1 truss of the International Space Station. At this hour, the crew members on board Discovery are in their post-sleep period. They're reviewing their morning messages and will be pressing into their deorbit and landing preparations, the usual day before landing preparations that occur in the checkout of their flight control system hardware, the firing of their reaction control system jets, and all of the other preparations with communications checks to the ground sites for landing opportunities that always precede the day before the landing of a shuttle back to its landing site. As is always the case in Florida, in August and September in the late afternoon time frame. To this mission's landing opportunities fall at a rather inopportune time of day relative to the usual weather pattern down in Florida. But the entry team will be taking a look very hard at the weather over the course of the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, in attempting to bring Discovery home in one of 2 landing opportunities that are available for the crew. We also have enough consumables to remain aloft if required until Sunday, basically a 13+3-day mission. But we're very anxious to try to bring Discovery home tomorrow if the weather will permit us for an on-time landing to bring this 13-day mission to a close.
Air data.
Taking air data, Houston.
Six and a half minutes until touchdown. Discovery now 78 miles from Edwards Air Force Base in California. (15 miles in altitude). The weather continues to be very benign at the landing site. Long-range tracking cameras now beginning to pick up the first discernible image of Discovery as it approaches the landing site. 5.5 minutes until touchdown. Discovery about to go subsonic.
Discovery, Houston, on energy approaching the hack. No changes to winds or weather. For the crosswind DTO, will be late chute deploy.
Okay, we're late chute deploy. Kevin and I have got our covers closed.
Copy.
Four and a half minutes until touchdown. Discovery flying straight as an arrow. Soon to go subsonic. 11 miles in altitude, just 65 miles from the landing site. Cutting through thin clouds, having crossed the Los Angeles basin, computers honed in on runway 22, the northeast to southwest approach to the 3-mile-long concrete runway. Discovery approaching the heading alignment circle, that imaginary cone around the landing site that the pilots use as a point of reference to align their craft to the landing strip. Kevin Ford in control of the stick at this moment. Discovery now going subsonic, the fleet-leading Shuttle announcing its arrival at the landing site with a pair of sonic booms. The late afternoon sunshine gleaming off its thermal protection heat shield. 3 minutes until touchdown. Rick Sturckow has taken back the stick from Kevin Ford. The vortices off the wings very obvious. Discovery continuing its turn around the heading alignment circle, aligning with runway 22 at Edwards Air Force Base.
Discovery, on at the 180.
On at the 180.
The slow, gentle turn around the heading alignment circle. Commander Rick Sturckow will soon align Discovery with runway 22, time to touchdown 2 minutes.
Discovery, on at the 90.
On at the 90. Runway inside, Houston.
Discovery, we copy.
This view from the heads-up display camera, the same view that Rick Sturckow and Kevin Ford are seeing now that we're aligned with runway 22. 1 minute until touchdown. Discovery right on the center line. Moments from now, Rick Sturckow will flare up Discovery's nose. Pilot Kevin Ford will deploy the landing gear. The pre-flare maneuver conducted. Landing gear down and locked. Main gear touchdown. Kevin Ford now deploying the drag chute. Nose gear touchdown. Discovery rolling out on runway 22 at Edwards Air Force Base, California, wrapping up a 5.7 million mile mission to resupply and fortify the International Space Station. Tim Cobra home after 58 days in space.
Houston Discovery, wheel stop.
Copy, wheel stop. Welcome home, Discovery. Congratulations on an extremely successful mission, stepping up science to a new level on the International Space Station.
The flight control team here in Mission Control now will work the post-landing procedures, making sure that all of Discovery's systems are in good shape. The first order of business will be to power down the auxiliary power units.
On page 5-3, the entry checklist.
We're over on 5-3, Houston. Convoy Commander, this is Discovery. Com check. Got you loud and clear, sir. Thanks.
Flight Director Richard Jones talking to the convoy commander on the runway at Edwards Air Force Base in California, reporting no systems issues being worked as the convoy begins to move into place on the concrete runway at Dryden Flight Research Center. Once the crew transport vehicle pulls into place alongside of the orbiter and the hatch is open, 2 astronaut support personnel, astronaut Ken Ham and astronaut Joe Acaba, will be on board to assist the crew as they get out of the orbiter into the crew transport vehicle.
Houston, ET umbilical doors coming open.
Discovery, Kevin, we're ready for that.
This is Mission Control Houston. In the fading light of a Friday afternoon, Discovery sits passively on runway 22 at Edwards Air Force Base in California, following a smooth landing. We're waiting for unofficial numbers on the main gear touchdown, the nose gear touchdown, and wheel stop. We should have that for you momentarily.
Houston, are you ready for the body flap?
Discovery, as you know, the hydraulic load test is not required, and we are ready for the body flap.
Copy, here we go. Houston, Discovery, RJD's off, side hatch, drag chute, and landing gear safe.
Discovery, we copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. We have our unofficial touchdown times for you. For Discovery's homecoming to Edwards Air Force Base in California, main gear touchdown was clocked at a mission elapsed time of 13 days, 20 hours, 53 minutes, and 45 seconds, or 7:53 and 25 seconds Central Time.
We'll give you ammonia to Bravo to SECON, Houston.
That's a good readback.
Once again, main gear touchdown logged at 13 days, 20 hours, 53 minutes, and 45 seconds mission elapsed time, or 7:53 and 25 seconds PM Central Time. Nose gear touchdown logged at 13 days, 20 hours, 53 minutes, and 54 seconds mission elapsed time, or 7:53 and 34 seconds PM Central Time. And wheel stop was logged at 13 days, 20 hours, 54 minutes, 55 seconds, or 7:54 and 35 seconds PM Central Time. Again, those are the unofficial touchdown numbers logged for Discovery's return to Edwards Air Force Base in California.
And Eric, we're going to wait till we get the evap out T above 55 and do the ammoniac, and then we'll go do the Ops 9 step.
Copy, sounds like a good plan, CJ.
This is Mission Control Houston with Discovery safely back home. Work now will continue by the convoy teams to begin to safe the vehicle before the crew transport vehicle is brought up alongside the side hatch of the orbiter. Astronauts Ken Ham and Joe Acaba will be moving inside the orbiter to assist the 7 astronauts. Rick Sturco and Kevin Ford, joined by Pat Forrester and Jose Hernandez up on the flight deck. Down on the middeck, Danny Olivas, Christer Fugelsang of the European Space Agency, and Tim Kopra, home back on Earth after 2 months in space. The crew will be returning to Ellington Field near the Johnson Space Center on Saturday afternoon, expecting an arrival at about 4 p.m. Central Time for a welcome home ceremony.
Discovery, you are go for SSME repo.
Okay, copy, go for SSME repo. Houston, Discovery, com check on a handheld bike.
Discovery, we have you loud and clear.
Read you the same, Eric.
Here in the flight control room, entry flight director Richard Jones getting the green light from his flight controllers for the traditional extended power-up of the systems on board Discovery as leak checks are continuing around the orbiter. Standard fare for the post-landing time frame to ensure that the vehicle is safe before the crew transport vehicle, the people mover, if you will, is brought up alongside the side hatch of Discovery. A smooth landing for Commander Rick Sturckow and his crew after 2 wave-offs of landing attempts yesterday at the Kennedy Space Center and 2 again today. The weather simply did not cooperate either day at the Florida Spaceport. Discovery's landing was diverted to Edwards Air Force Base in California, the 54th landing of a space shuttle at Edwards in program history.
Houston, SSME repo look good. Ready for APU hide shutdown.
And you are go for APU hide shutdown. Discovery will take GPC 5 mode switch to standby.
Copy, Houston. Here comes GPC 5 to mode switch to standby.
The crew transport vehicle soon will make its way to the side hatch of Discovery. The convoy commander reporting no leaks, everything airtight on Discovery, and the crew now will be given the green light to begin to take off their launch and entry suits.
Discovery, you are go to doff suits.
Height shutdown complete.
And Kevin, we copy, and you're go to doff suits.
Copy, go to doff suits. Thanks. And you're ready for the MPS reconfig?
Discovery, we're ready for the MPS reconfig.
Houston, wait your gopher and vent door approach positioning.
Discovery, we are ready for vent door approach positioning. Discovery, you're a go for extended power up.
Copy, Houston. Go for extended power up. Houston, here comes the STS on the south test.
Discovery, Kevin, we are ready for the valve test. And Discovery for Kevin, just a reminder about the forward RCS. Remember, it's only the manifold ISOs 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Great reminder, Houston. He and Pat were just briefing that up. Thank you. Houston, Discovery for DPS. Here comes the offload recall.
Discovery, we're ready for that.
This is Mission Control Houston. On board Discovery, the 7 astronauts are doffing their launch and entry suits as the crew transport vehicle begins to make its way near the side hatch along with the other convoy vehicles. The safing of the orbiter is underway. Nothing untoward being found whatsoever as Flight Director Richard Jones talks to the convoy commander on the runway at Edwards Air Force Base.
Houston Discovery Asp is on board.
Houston copies.
And the plan is we're going to get MS-2 off the flight deck, and then we will have the Asp perform the MS ORED power down steps, and we know we got the A13 GPS steps open too.
Discovery, Houston copies. Sounds like a good plan.
And Eric, those are the only things that we think that we have open, so if you're seeing anything else, please let us know.
Checking.
This is Mission Control Houston as we watch replays of Discovery's landing that occurred 32 minutes ago. The crew running ahead of schedule as it has removed its launch and entry suits and is preparing to unstrap from their seats as they get set to move into the crew transport vehicle once it's alongside the orbiter. Landing occurred at 7:53 p.m. Central Time, 5:53 p.m. Pacific Time, wrapping up a 5.7 million mile mission spanning 14 days to the International Space Station.
Houston, LRU deactivation is complete.
And Houston copies. Ask Houston on R12, we'll take IDP CRT4 to off OFF.
Okay, we copy. And Houston, are you all done with IDP3 or do you still use that?
Checking. And Discovery, we're done with that IDP.
Copy, IDP3 is coming off.
Copy, and you can take GPC5 mode switch to run.
GPC5 is coming back to run.
This is Mission Control Houston. As we continue to work post-landing procedures, astronaut support personnel are now on board Discovery to assist the 7 astronauts as they make their way out of the orbiter. A programming note coming up in less than 15 minutes at 8:45 p.m. Central Time, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, the post-landing news conference, which will originate from the Kennedy Space Center. The post-landing news conference will feature Mike Moses, who's the Launch Integration Manager, Horst Scharschmidt, who is the Acting Director of the Astronaut Division for the European Space Agency, and Pete Nikolenko, who's the STS-128 Launch Director. The post-landing news conference coming up in about 15 minutes at 8:45 p.m. Central Time, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time from the Kennedy Space Center.
Wegen anhaltend schlechten Wetters musste die Landung auf dem Weltraumbahnhof Cape Canaveral in Florida mehrmals verschoben werden und das Shuttle schließlich nach Kalifornien umgeleitet werden.
Die Discovery ist zurück auf der Erde. Mit einem Tag Verspätung setzte die Raumfähre sicher auf dem Luftwaffenstützpunkt Edwards in Kalifornien auf. Tausende Kilometer vom eigentlichen Ziel entfernt, denn über dem Weltraumbahnhof Cape Canaveral in Florida wollten sich die Gewitterwolken einfach nicht verziehen. Schlechtes Wetter, das die US-Weltraumbehörde NASA gut 1 Million Euro kostet. Denn die Discovery muss jetzt huckepack auf einer umgebauten Boeing zurück nach Florida gebracht werden. Die 13-tägige Mission der Raumfähre war erfolgreich. 7,5 Tonnen Nachschub hat die Besatzung zur internationalen Raumstation ISS gebracht. Insgesamt 3-mal mussten Astronauten raus ins Weltall. Spaziergang wird es genannt, dabei ist es harte Arbeit. Immerhin, die ISS hat jetzt eine neue Klimaanlage und einen Kühlschrank. Allerdings nicht für das Feierabendbier. Bei bis zu minus 80 Grad werden wissenschaftliche Proben schockgefrostet. Außerdem verlegte die Shuttle-Besatzung fast 20 Meter Kabel, die Grundlage für einen neuen Aufenthaltsraum im All. Etwas mehr Platz an Bord hat die ISS-Langzeitbesatzung schon jetzt. Die Discovery hat 1 Tonne Müll zurück auf die Erde gebracht.
Discovery, launch director.
Discovery, go ahead, sir.
Well, CJ, the vehicle's clean and the teams are go. And this time Mother Nature is cooperating, so it looks like third time really is the charm. We wish you and your team good luck and Godspeed.
Thanks, Pete. On behalf of the crew of Discovery, thanks to everyone who helped prepare for this mission. Let's go step up the science on the International Space Station.
NTD launch director, you do have a go to launch Discovery.
And I copy that, launch director.
Copy on Discovery APC, close launch advisors, initiate O2 flow.
Discovery, roger. There goes the beanie cap crew. Let's go ahead and check the tap in. Roger. Houston Discovery, roll program. Copy, Jose. Oh, yeah. All right. 103, Team Ecos.
Cut up on the live.
Copy, Jose. There it is. All right, 25-8. All right, you can raise up your seat if you want to. Good.
Timer.
All right, good job. All right. Let's work it hard. The tank, and I'm waiting for the 20-second plus X. Lift up in your seat. There it goes. All right, we're waiting for 104. 1 potato, 2 potato. I started it at 56. I will release it at 16 after.
That was an incredibly exciting 10 minutes of my life. Let me tell you, there is no experience on the planet like leaving the planet. And I can remember thinking right after I got there, as busy as we were, those engines did really just throw this vehicle into orbit. And it was just an absolutely amazing, incredible experience to be there. We were very happy. We were having fun. We got sunrise at the 16-minute point, and we just really got going. We got going with some burns, got out of our suits. And there's Nicole all happy on the mid-deck, tying her watch down so it doesn't float away. Very early on, something floated by, and I said to CJ, "Things are floating, CJ." He said, "Get used to it, Kevin. It's going to be like that for the next 2 weeks." So just a really cool experience. Doors coming open so that we know we can stay in space and we don't have to get home. Cooling is going well. Krister already out of his suit, and as with everything on this mission, Flight Night 1 just went very well, and we just clicked throughout the next couple weeks with great success because we had a great vehicle when we got there. A lot of things have to be reconfigured and got ready to go. Things are a little different in space. You can have fun with even just throwing trash away. You can enjoy it, you know. So just a great experience. Jose typically putting the computers together, got right into that on Flight Night 1, having more fun doing it there than he always did in the sim, that's for sure. And just a lot of configuration going on. All the kits out, last one to get out of his suit. Here comes the commander down the steps, upside down, and a big smile on his face too after that great experience. We're making the place just like home. This is the cycle ergometer, and Nicole's putting that together, getting that all set up so we can get started on exercise when crew members have time for it. And you get a little distracted sometimes with the unusual environment. Here we are having a little bit of a fun with a knob that you probably wouldn't pay that much attention to on the ground. We did inspection on flight day 2, and here is morning of flight day 3, getting ready to meet our hosts in space for the next few days, just doing some domestics. Did several burns to get ready for the rendezvous. Next thing we know, we're getting calls from the International Space Station crew and picking up tally hos on the space station. We used a lot of tools. Rendezvous is quite involved. Here's a little burn out the back end. You can see the jets fire and a little shake of the camera too. You could always feel it on board when those jets were firing.
And as we start working on our rendezvous phase of flight, you see Nicole using her binoculars looking at what will be her new home for the next 3 months. And we start executing the rendezvous phase of our flight. And there you see Pat being our keeper of our FDF during that phase of flight. A picture from the International Space Station of our space shuttle, and of course this is before we do the 360-degree turn so they can inspect our TPS system, take high-resolution pictures, and then beam them down for everybody to look at down here and make sure that we did not suffer any damage during ascent. You can see how fast we're going across the Earth there, and it's hard to believe we did 200 and some odd revolutions around the Earth during our 14-day mission. There's a good view of the MPLM where we had more than 7 tons of information of things to transfer.
HHL's maybe about 0.06.
Here comes a BN. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Should get it back in the
Yeah,
middle. So
that's
we,
okay.
So we have
Yep.
a firm idea of what it is.
That's exactly. Text warned us about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you got it up to about 0.09 there, so
Okay.
that's nice.
That worked good. Fingers on a button.
Decimal 1.
Big pedal overlap going outside.
Don't move your hand.
Okay. Pedal overlap. And 2 and
Good closure.
Capture.
Fired.
Capture light.
Okay.
All right.
Capture light.
Capture
Looking
light.
for free
Looking for
drift.
lights. Looking for
You
lights.
never got the
Station
contact light.
in Houston from Discovery. Capture confirmed.
Did we
All
get
right.
Got flashing red. All right.
Good job. Good
Feeling when we were able to see the capture light confirm, because that means everything's working nominally, and of course the next order of business is we're going to have to get the hatch ready after we do all the pressure checks so that we can go ahead and open it, and the International Space Station crew will of course do the same at their end so that we can ultimately meet, as you can see where they beat us to opening the hatch, and they're just waiting for us. And of course, we go ahead and come in, and the commander from the International Space Station, Gennady Padalka, rings the traditional bell as our commander comes on board. And you can see they are very happy to see us, and I don't think they're happy to see us per se, but we do come bearing gifts. We bring the traditional shirts, mission shirts that we give to them, but more importantly, we bring fresh food like fruit that they are very happy to receive. And of course, we left Nicole Stott behind, and Tim Copra was the one that we traded for, and he came down with us after our 14-day mission. There were 13 of us there, and representing a total of 5 countries during our stay.
So the next most important thing we brought with us up was this MPLM Leonardo. The most important was, of course, Nicole Stott. And it was loaded with 10,000 plus pounds of equipment, food, new experiments, and things like that. And the day after we docked, Kevin and Mike Barrett together, using the station arm, grappled Leonardo from our payload bay and very nicely docked it to the station on the native port of the Node 2. And after that, the 2 ESA guys up there, Frank DeWin and I, worked on the docking system and all the things needed to open the hatch. And just to make sure if there would be something unclean in the air floating around, we had these masks and goggles when we entered. But it was very, very clean, and was a very nice job done here at KC to prepare the MPLM. We could quickly take off our masks and goggles. And it was also very nicely packed. Really excellent job, and made it very easy for us to unpack all these hundreds of bags. And this is how efficient and fun you can unload something in space. Coming out of the MPLM, going through node 2 and into the gem there. And you see how happy you can be when you do working and loading in space. We also had some payloads in the shuttle mid-deck, and this is the famous mice drawer system. Unfortunately, 3 of the mice has expired, as it's called in NASA lingo. And Nicole was a prime working with the mice drawing system.
Besides the MPLM, we also did 3 spacewalks on this mission. Each night before the spacewalk, we'd get the whole team together, those on the inside and those that would be going outside, for a briefing just to go over the procedures and the things that we would be doing. Then each night, we would take the crew that was going to go out the next day and put them inside the airlock. We call it camp out. It's very similar to that. They take the things they'll need for the next evening and morning inside with them, and then we depress that down to 10.2. That's one of the ways that we were able to purge the nitrogen out of the system before they go out on the spacewalk. When they wake up the next morning, they'll get something to eat real quick. We'll open the hatch and bring the team inside that is going to suit them up. In this case, you see Tim Coper there in the middle and Jose down below. And they'll go through a series of over 200 steps to get them in the suits and get them out the hatch. And we got great support from Tim, who had done this a couple of times during his long duration stay.
And Nicole, your right waist tether to the forward UIAD ring.
And I can confirm right waist tether forward UIAD ring, bail closed, ladder lock.
Great, Danny, I see the airlock thermal cover is open. You can egress the airlock. Remember to avoid that MMOD strike.
Roger that.
Running the procedures inside on all 3 of the spacewalks. Now our EVA guys, and in the case of the first spacewalk, Nicole, know the procedures very well, are very familiar with the task, and I would just follow along, keeping them on task and on the timeline that we were looking for. The station has gotten so big we can't really see everything from inside anymore, so you saw I was relying on some monitors there with cameras stationed around the ISS to keep an eye on them. One of the major tasks that we did while we were up there is to change out an ammonia tank. We use ammonia as part of the cooling system for the station. And as we wind down the station program, you know, there's just 6 more shuttle flights left. We want to make sure we leave it in a great position as far as plenty of spares up there and all the consumables loaded. And so this is first of 2 ammonia tanks that we're going to change out. The next one will be done on a mission coming up next year. It actually took 2 spacewalks to do that change out. The first one, we removed the old tank and left it stowed aboard the space station arm, and then the next day we replaced it with the new one and then stowed the used tank away. Usually a spacewalk lasts about 6.5 to 7 hours, and we stayed on that timeline for all 3 of them. It takes about 90 minutes to go around the Earth, so for half of that it's dark outside, and for half it's light. When it's dark, it goes down to about minus 250 degrees, and when the sun's out, it can be up to positive 250 or 300 degrees. So they go through a temperature swing every 90 minutes of about 500 degrees. There's a picture there of Krister on the end of the arm holding the ammonia tank. Some of the great views that we had looking out the windows. Those suits do a great job of taking care of the spacewalkers. We had a good team on the ground. This was our lead station Capcom, Robert Hanley, and he was on shift for each of the spacewalks. There's our flight director, Heather Rarick, and she's talking to our EVA folks. Anytime a question would come up, if we couldn't answer it on board, we'd immediately get an answer from the folks on the ground. It's always nice when we can look out the windows and see those guys. That was Danny on the left. There's Krister you see coming up from the payload bay. Once the 3 spacewalks were over, we would, or each of the spacewalks were over, we would get them out of the suit. We'd repressurize the hatch that they were in, the crew lock there, bring them into the equipment lock where we'd have a team ready to help pull them out of the suits. It's always a great feeling after being in the suit for really about 8 hours by the time they get in to start the day and go through the spacewalks to get out. First thing you want to do is get something to eat. You get pretty hungry. It's a lot of hard work out there. They do have water inside the suits that they can drink. They did a great job.
In parallel to the spacewalks were going on, we were doing work in the MPLM also, and here we are moving big racks. We actually had 6 big racks which we transferred from the MPLM into the station. 3 of them for crew living up there, 1 crew quarter, 1 thread mill, and also 1 air revitalization system. Well, here's the famous thread mill. And we had 3 racks for scientific works, for fluid science and for material science, and also 1 for storing samples at minus 80 degrees Celsius. So our kind of mission was called at racking up the science on station, and although we didn't do much science while we were up there, with some experiments we were done in medical fields. Of course, we really provided the station with all the assets which needed to start to utilize it in the full potential as it was designed for. And here is Tim's Soyuz equipment going back with us, since he was not coming back on the Soyuz. And these racks have a lot of stuff on the backside also, and here we rotate them so you can get to the backside. As I already said, it was very nicely packed, everything. We got everything out of the, well, yeah, it's another thing here, notes from Mars Islands that help us, all these small things, where things goes, and what to do with them. Here's how you can move things in space. You carry them with your feet and you move along with your hands, kind of opposite what you do on the ground. These are food containers, by the way. We brought up a lot of food, which made the station guys pretty happy. When you're in the, yeah, here we do, Tim is doing an R&R. It turned out that one of the 16 bolts which holds the MPLM to the station didn't work properly. And to make sure that we really could unburst the MPLM, the station guys were asked to do an R&R for that.
No, that's all the technical stuff, and people want to know what the really cool things that do in space are. Aside from that, obviously just having fun living and working in space. You can see here Nicole just really enjoying being in the MPLM, which was halfway empty at the time. We decided to see how she would work as a ball off the back of the MPLM there, off the bungee jet. I see she's having the time of her life up there. Also, playing with food is a big thing that we like to do in space. Here you see we're creating a water ball. We call these space eyeballs. Just take a water ball, throw a lifesaver on top of it, and then voila, you got an eyeball in space. Of course, you got to get rid of it, and so down the hatch it goes. And Kevin here is being a little creative here. This is a peanut butter popsicle, but the best of both worlds. Jelly on the back side, peanut butter on the front side. 2 worlds that don't meet until they get into your mouth. CJ here getting a standard Marine haircut, because you can see he was definitely looking like he a little long in the tooth there. And things have a different dynamics in space, and so sometimes you come across something that just really interests you, and that was a neat thing that we observed on the wrench. And we're spinning Jose in the same manner here, but he doesn't flip around quite as much. Now, if you are Jose, bay. This is your point of view and things that you see as you're moving around. We'll tell you though, if you do this too much, you'll get yourself pretty well spun up and get yourself sick. Working in space, it's just like working at home. You have to be careful, and when you pull stuff off, got to take good care of everything. There's a lot of logistics, hardware needs to be moved around, and here you can see the crew's getting ready to close off the MPLM. You can see here they're closing up the hatch and buttoning it up. Packing is a lot more work than unpacking, just like it is at home. And once we got the MPLM fully outfitted to come home, we unburdened it from space station, and the robotics operators actually took it and put it back inside the payload bay. You can see here Jose and Kevin and the rest of the crew working to put that back in the payload bay. After the MPLM was safely in the payload bay and our EVAs were complete, we're pretty much done with all of our objectives, so we met for a traditional meal celebration for the entire crew station as well as shuttle crew. Here we had food represented from various countries that were on board, Swedish, Canadian, and Belgian, and Russian food, and American food, and even some Japanese food that was left over from when Koichi was there. Here we're drinking reprocessed urine, so there you go. Basically, it's a water system on board that takes the fluids and makes it potable. At the end of our stay there, flight day 11, it's time for us to close the hatch. Nicole, we're leaving her there for her stay and getting ready to come home. You can see here she put the docking target on, reattached it, and closed the hatch.
Well, it was time for the undocking from the International Space Station. And this time our pilot, Kevin Ford, was flying the vehicle.
Looks good.
220, undocking push, hooks, close slides are both out.
Here we go. Yeah. You can use the other one for putting it away. Yeah. 20 seconds. Looks at 9%. Okay. Yep, here we go. Okay,
Under complete light, hooks up and two are open.
Houston end station from Discovery. Physical separation.
Clear? Okay.
Pedals clear.
All right, LVLH on the gap.
TCS is coming in.
Okay.
Got a 1.3 opening. A 0.13 opening.
All right, I see LVLH. Good job.
0.7.
Right,
Got good TCS.
Pulse. No low Z is verified.
20.17.
And we concur, Mike. Thanks.
30 feet or 3. He backed away from the space station. Kevin backed us out at about 0.2 opening rate, working it up to about 0.25. And he backed us out to around 400 feet. The sun came up, and then we were able to start taking pictures of the International Space Station. He did a full 360-degree loop around the International Space Station, and that's where all the nice views that you see on the posters around here come from. It's from these fly-arounds. The space station is huge now. We've had the good fortune to watch it grow from just a little bitty space station when Colonel Cabana was up there to a huge station with as much internal volume as a 747, and it's a football field long up there. So it's really impressive. It's a credit to all the great work done here by hardworking people at the Kennedy Space Center that this hardware is up there today, right now, flying around and doing great work. Kevin did an awesome job of keeping us inside the corridor. You can see there, flew us all the way around and then did a couple SUP burns to exit the corridor. Tim Cooper had been living up there for about 60 days, and finally it was time for him to say goodbye to his old home. We had to do the late inspection of the space shuttle just to make sure nothing had changed with the RCC. So we did that. We did a RCS hot fire.
HT, right arm, sail HT, and engine sail and safe HT are all 80.
We agree. All four of those are 80. Before we knew it was time to come home, we had done the deorbit burn. You can see we're already, that's about 0.1 G there as we've already re-entered the atmosphere and starting to pick up the Gs. The Mach goes up to just over 25 Mach number. We tried to come here to Kennedy Space Center in Florida, but the weather didn't cooperate, so we had to go to California.
Weather, and we are on energy approaching the hack. GNC. We had a good repo, sir. Max. Flight Max late shoot for the direct shoot DTO. Still on.
Discovery, Houston, on energy approaching the hack. No changes to winds or weather. For the crosswind DTO, will be late shoot deploy.
Okay, we're late shoot deploying. Kevin and I have got our covers closed.
Copy.
Kevin Ford in control of the stick at this moment. Discovery now going subsonic. The fleet-leading shuttle announcing its arrival at the landing site with a pair of sonic booms. The late afternoon sunshine gleaming off its thermal protection heat shield. 3 minutes until touchdown. Rick Sturco has taken back the stick from Kevin Ford. The vortices off the wings very obvious. Discovery continuing its turn around the heading alignment circle, aligning with runway 22 at Edwards Air Force Base.
Kevin, check the landing gear extension ISO valve.
Landing gear extend ISO. Thank you, Jose. That valve is open.
Discovery, on at the 180.
On at the 180. Nice calls. Runway inside right there. I see one happy pappy on the nominal, CJ. Runway inside, Houston. Guidance looks great. Thank you. I agree.
Discovery, we copy. Copy.
Right there, rolling out. I'm going to do my first declutter with a great overlay. I agree. All right, following guidance right down the middle. See you on center line. Copy. Good slope there. Yep. Correcting back nicely. Very nice. CJ just like us. Yep. Coming up on the pre-flare. Pre-flare next. Pre-flare on the gear. Arm with a good light. Quarter diamond. 304. See your speed brakes right at 50. Copy. Really nice. A little lag. Coming down to the ball bar. On the ball bar. 400. Gear down, please. Gears on the way. I see you coming to the ball bar. Okay, a little more aft stick. You're on the center line on the ball bar. Coming a little right. On the center line on the ball bar. Keep coming up. Keep coming up. Keep it coming. There's 5230. Got 5230. Now you're at 4225. Hold on. Guys, 20, 15, 2.
The shuttle flies very nice. We have excellent training with our instructor pilots in the shuttle training aircraft. You can see that Kevin delayed deploying the drag chute until the nose was on the deck. Unfortunately, we didn't get the crosswind DTO. They've been trying to measure. The crosswinds weren't quite high enough. So we put out the drag chute and came to a full stop.
Houston Discovery, wheel stop.
Copy, wheel stop. Welcome home, Discovery. Congratulations on an extremely successful mission, stepping up science to a new level on the International Space Station.